Okay. As always, I feel the need to ask, am I live? Oh, the Twitch dashboard is lighting up. It looks like I might well be live. Okay. That's good. That's a good sign. Let me just... looks like I might well be live. Okay, yep, sound is working. Good, good, good. I will post in LN2 Haven and I will post in Buildzoid server. Right. And now we wait. Just gonna leave it on the system just while we wait for people to filter in, if anyone. Who was it? Someone, Alex asked me to ping him if I go live. Okay. Hey Dave. Good, there's people here, that's a good sign. Quickly refresh the stream manager. Right, well, I've been live for about 2 minutes, so... Yeah, I'll start explaining the situation then. I don't want to make the intro too long for people who are tuning into the VOD. So, this is what I have in the system at the moment, and it has two problems with it. The first is that it's very blurry, but we can fix that. The second problem, and this is the more serious one, is it's a 3000 CL16 bin. Now, Corsair, bless them, they do their own sorting, and it is very, very thorough. They do very, very good sorting, very thorough sorting of memory ICs. That's why a lot of the Corsair that you see with Micron chips is actually Spectec, because Spectec don't just sell rejects, they sell in bulk as well. So this is a bit of a problem, because if something's a 3000 bin, it's not going to be very good. And it was probably a mistake to even bother picking it up. So I've been messing with this earlier today, and basically it has a hard wall at 4800, at least as far as booting. So I've just booted up at 4733 right now, as you can see there. Now, I have a couple of backup scores with B-Dice, so I'm not going to be saving screenshots, but I'm going to try to actually make a better score on stream. I'm going to keep the title up to date with what I manage on stream, rather than with what I've done off stream, because I think that's more interesting. While I'm waiting, I'll also show you one other quick thing I've done. Is because habitually I tend to just drag the CPU Z up here, right? And the thing is, that's where I have my system picture, my camera. So I've put a little reminder for myself up in the top right to not do that. But yes, so what we're going to do now is, what I'll start with actually is I'll show you that it can't boot 4800. So we'll get into BIOS, and I'll show you the settings, and then we'll see what it does. Come on. Ooh. Well, that's new. Okay, I've not had that before. What you're seeing on stream is what I'm seeing as well. What? Okay, let's just reset there. Come on. Okay, behave yourself this time, will you? Come on, stop giving me B2 and give me O2. This is the problem with going live, right? Nothing works. Oh, no. There we are, there we are. Hey! Okay, sweet, good. So, as you can see, I've clocked down the CPU. Now, F-clock, right? We have to talk about F-clock. So, what I found when I was testing off stream is that if I set the F-clock less than a quarter of the effective memory speed, or half the memory, like true clock, it stops working. So, like, if I set F-clock of 800 at DDR4-5400, that's fine, but then if I try to go up to 3333, it stops booting. And I was having no end of problems trying to figure out why it wasn't booting at 3333, and it turns out it was because my F-clock was too low. You know, I haven't tried explicitly setting that to a half, so I'm going to enter that. So let's just... God, the BIOS is laggy with the CPU this slow. I've disabled a bunch of cores and threads as well. So let's set our SoC up to 1.3 because I know it scales. So as far as memory voltage, it doesn't like 1.6, but let's give it 1.45, right? So you can see right now it's running 4733 and it's doing that at 1.36, right? Which is just 1.35 plus overshoot. So we're going to push that to 1.45. I'll just quickly open up my timings, but there's basically not a whole lot to see. They're just they're maxed, basically, is what they are. I suppose I could try explicitly setting command rate or explicitly setting gear down mode. That might be one other thing to try. Not you, I don't need you. Where's... Oh! Where's gear down mode? So that's on auto at the moment. I assume it's active, but let's explicitly set it, because why not? You know what I completely forgot to do is I completely forgot to set up Zen timings on this system, and that would be quite a good idea, wouldn't it? So I'll see if I can sort that out. You know, I should really mute my desktop. Yeah, I'll be fine. Right. Zen timings. I like how the top result when you search for Zen timings is Zen timings for Intel. Like the top, like suggested search. God, it's really warm today. So I'm wearing quite a thin t-shirt and the lapel mic is like itchy. And yes, I am going to complain. Alright, so... let's wait for that to figure out what it's doing with the USB drive. What else? So another update. This is a clean, fresh install of Windows 10. I fully updated it and then I stripped it down to the bone, disabled a load of stuff. You know, disabled a load of security stuff, that kind of thing. You know, just to minimise system load. So this OS should be a bit less broken. Like my start menu works, for example. All right, let's copy over our Zen timings then. And you know what? While I'm here, I might as well link the Koofed screenshot thing. I prefer to use MS Paint, to be honest, but why not? Yes, I do want to disable that now. Stop bothering me. Come on. Okay, so we've got some like maybe slightly weird termination settings here, so that might be something else to fiddle with. The thing is, I do have other RAM I want to try as well, so it's a little bit of a weird one. I could maybe try loosening these even further. They might be tighter than they need to be. That seems a little... well, okay, no, that's not tight. That's fine. But okay. So this is where we are. And the question is, will it now do 4800? Because it wasn't off stream. What has changed since going on stream? All that's changed so far is I've actually upped the SoC voltage a little. And it has motivation to work, just sort of to spite me, to make me look silly. But I'm expecting 4800 not to work. So let's just nudge that up to 4800. And we'll see what it does. And yep, that's not working, so switch you to camera only so you can see the postcode. Oh, the postcode's moving. Alright. Is it going to stick on 60? I'm going to give it a minute and I'll just leave it to think about whether it wants to stick on 60. That sounds like more of a threat than I intended. I mean, that's pretty stuck looking, isn't it? It doesn't normally do that. Alright. Give it a quick reset. You never know. Well, it rolled through 60 once. Is it stuck on 28 now? It looks stuck on 28. Again, I'll give it a moment. No, one more reset. And that's stuck on 62. Alright. So that's it, not booting 4800 in a nutshell. Right, we don't need the USB stick anymore. Another change you might notice to the system is I've moved the graphics card down. My hope there is just I'm reducing the load on the SoC. Now whether that ends up making a difference, who knows, but I can hope. Okay, I'm gonna try clipping the lapel mic somewhere slightly different. It's really annoying me. What's that Game of Thrones quote? Your lips are moving and you're complaining about something, that's whinging. Hey Matt. Matt Attack says, evening Mick. Yes. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Fortunately, I've had a nap today. so I should be able to go for a couple of hours, depending on how long I end up having the patience for, really. But yeah, Buildzoid wanted me to go first, and I suppose I probably ought to explain what the stakes are here. So I think quite rashly said to Buildzoid, because he was saying, well, I've only got Samsung memory, right, for the Corsair competition, and I said, well, if you and your Samsung memory can beat me and the Micron that I've picked up in memory clock, I will give you my Fatality X99M Killer 3.1, which is a board that he has on his wish list. I don't know why I said that. It's a very expensive board, and it's not as if I'm getting anything back other than like motivating him to compete. But I am a man of my word. So that might be happening if I don't manage to put a good enough score down. I'm a bit worried because Buildzoid's B-die is faster. Well, in the last stage, he got his B-die clocked a lot higher than I could get mine to go. I do have one or two things that might help me. But yeah, anyway. So I'll load up my work in progress profile, which now that's just a 4733 profile that works with timings that behave themselves and everything. And what I'm going to do is, I don't know what the scaling limit is, but I'm just going to like nudge that up to 1.35, which should be complete, like that's the XMP voltage, right? And I'm going to nudge my SoC up to 1.3, which I know it scales to. And you know what? I'm going to go in and like max. Is that really? That's as loose as they go. Okay, fine. Sure. Let's just max those out. Those go loose as well. Okay, sure. Let's go with that. Cache write latency. Is that good to? Yeah. That's probably fine. I feel a bit silly if that doesn't boot up and I have to clear CMOS again. But yeah, let's go with this. Crispy Silicon says, mighty big of you, good luck. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Hopefully Buildzoid is going to be streaming tomorrow. He did a stream earlier today. Attaching an E-power to a 1080 that he's got. He's got a new soldering station and it's an absolute beast. It really is. I'm kind of jealous. Come on, you're going to boost. You're going to boot this, aren't you? Yeah, it's going to boot. Here we go. That's booting. That's normal, I think. Oh, well, the postcode is rolling again, but it sometimes does that. That's fine. I'm not worried yet. Dave says that just means you need to buy a JBC2 lol. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Oh, here we go. Oh, no. Oh, this isn't a good sign. You know, this graphics card was behaving itself fine off stream, and now it's being weird again. Crispy Silicon says, I was very impressed with how it handled that braid. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the braid is... Oh, good, I've got full resolution. The braid is designed to be quite easy to solder, but yeah. Alright, so... I'm not going to be saving screenshots just yet because I have to admit to something. I've got one or two off-stream scores on B-dies, so this is my real personal best. Right here. So that's at, what is that, like 5200, just under? So I'm not going to bother saving anything that's not as much as 5200. Dave says, "What keyboard are you using, Mick?" Oh, you mean that? You mean this one? It's an OEM keyboard from a Sony Vaio desktop. People kind of look at it and they see beige and they go, "Oh, cool! You've got an IBM Model M." No, I wish. It's the switches are like, oh, that actually does stuff. But yeah, that is a rubber dome switch. It's nothing special. But it is a PS2 keyboard and it is nice enough. Like, you know, it's not total crap. It's got one or two interesting stains on it from some isopropyl alcohol for dry ice related reasons. Anyway, let's fire up our in-OS overclocking. So this isn't Ryzen Master, this is Command Center Lite. I'd seen something about how to change icons and I just found it funny to rename it. Like, this is on stream, I'm not exactly trying to hide that I've got Command Center Lite. It's public anyway, by which I mean I don't have any special access and I was able to get hold of it. So let's not be too optimistic. Let's try 100.5 base clock for starters. So I have tested this off stream and it does work. There we are. So I'll just keep nudging the base clock up. Is that up to 100.1? Yeah, there we are. There we are. Okay, so we're nearly, and it's still working. It's still behaving itself. So we're nearly at the 4800 that it was refusing to boot. Let's just give it a touch more because I want to see that 2400 megahertz, that DDR4-4800. Is that applied? Oh, yeah, there we are. Come on. Maybe I should disable spread spectrum because the reason that it's not hitting like as high a speed as it's supposed to is spread spectrum. So like that's not 101.25, it's slightly below, for example. And that's because spread spectrum varies the base clock slightly. From the nominal base clock that it's supposed to be to like a little bit below, and the reason for doing that is it's supposed to just stop electromagnetic interference from being too much on like one particular wavelength. It's not really necessary, but yeah. Alright, so we've got our 4800 and the system is still alive, so let's just see how far we can push it. Okay. So that's 4827, I think. Up to 102 base clock. That's still going? That's still going. Alright. So that's just about 4840 now. That's actually over 4840 at this point. And I keep going in fairly small steps. Yeah, that's 4850, sorry. So there's 4860. That's 4870, I think 4874 strictly. This is a lot more headroom than I was expecting. So there's our 4886. I was really not expecting it to just clock up like this. I'm quite surprised. It makes me wonder if there's something weird about that ratio or something. Has that applied 103.5? Yeah, it has. So we're at just about 4900 now. Yeah, that's 4910. 4922. And I'm just like doing random actions in the OS just to see, like, is it still alive? Is it still running? And it seems to be still running. So let's try 104.25. Yep, that's applied. 104.5. Oh, what's that done? Yeah, there we are. So that's 2472.9 now, so that's going to be 49, bearing down on 4950. We're not quite there yet. And it just keeps going. I really wasn't expecting base clock to be all that, but I mean, this is going, right? This is just, yeah, let's go, right? $24.90. $24.96. I think what I'm probably going to do is so I've just hit 5,000. I'm going to see if I can save a screenshot and a score there. I'm going to leave Command Center Light open. Sorry, I heard like a weird noise in the background. I don't know what it was, but it sort of put the wind up me a bit, made me feel a bit weird. Yeah. So SPD, we only have the one stick. Right. So has that saved a screenshot at, at the file location then? Yeah, it has. Okay, fair enough. And like, those aren't corrupted, so that's a good sign for like how stable we are. But let's do a quick validation as well. And I think we can change the title. We can update that PB DDR4-5000. Yeah, sorry, that weird like noise in the background. It sounded like air pressure equalizing, like you know, through like the seal of a fridge door or something, or like the lid of a water bottle. But it also like sounded like someone kind of like making a kissy noise, and it's like I thought, because my partner is in the house, and like I thought like, oh, is there someone there? And there's not. It's really actually kind of freaked me out in a way. Yeah, sorry, one sec. Delicious, cold, refreshing water. Right. Okay, so that's going well. Let's keep pushing it, right? As Truffman would say, keep pushing it. I'm not going to try and do Truffman's accent because I can't. Oh! Hey, there we go. Right. So just over 5,000 at 106.25 is where it died. Okay. Good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap over to a different stick because I've got two of these. So if I swap that one out, and I put the other one in. And then we can see, at this point it might have just been a base clock limit, honestly. I wish it would boot higher. I was really hoping that, like, I would spend a matter of, like, maybe 10-20 minutes on this Micron, and it's... oh, blimmin' heck. Okay, well, anyway, it's been longer than that. Right. If it's just booted in at like 106 base clock, I'll be... I will definitely have an emotion. I don't know what. Will I be surprised? Will I be impressed? Who knows? But I'll definitely be something. So, yeah. All right. No. Okay. Yeah. It's booted in at 100 base clock. That's good. If the NOS overclocking was just staying applied, that would be a little bit cursed. All right. Let's fire at command center light. If this crashes, I will have to just like go back and do it again, but I'm gonna try jumping to 104. That's worked. 105. That's worked. Okay. So not going to take too long here. 105.5. 106? Yes, okay. So we're about where we crashed last time now. Let's try 106. Okay. So it crashed at exactly the same place that the other stick crashed. So either it's not a stick limit or they're very similar. One of the two. Alright. That makes me think, though, that it's not a stick limit. That makes me think it's just like a base clock limit or something. I'm just going to quickly double check what I can set for base clock in BIOS. Yeah, so as far as the BIOS is concerned, I can go high as I like. Right, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I find it a little bit weird that it's capable of running at like 5,000 plus, but it won't even boot 4800. I find that weird. I guess it's not impossible. It's some relationship to some other clock. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to boot it up at 4733, which is what it should be doing right now. And then I'm going to take note of things like the termination settings. And I'm just going to copy those, like explicitly set them. Because those settings clearly are capable of running like DDR4-5000, right? So maybe if I set them explicitly, it might boot a bit higher. And if it doesn't do that, then yeah, who knows. Why did I open CPU Z? That's not what I need. I need Zen timings. Yeah. Dave also said earlier, I'm currently struggling with Excel while listening to the stream. Why is it so complicated to edit charts? And charts, man. it's rough because it's like it feels like it should be simpler, but I don't know how you'd make it simpler other than like making a bunch of assumptions. Okay, so RZQ over 5. What's that going to be? That's going to be 48 ohms probably. So let me just open up Notepad here. So Proc ODT 53.3. That seems on the high side. RTT nom off. RTTWR off. I mean, maybe these settings are garbage. Maybe actually they need changing. RTT Park RZQ over 5, which is probably going to be 48. Okay. Yeah. Dave asked what keyboard I was using. I don't know if it was actually because he like saw the cream and was interested, or if it's just because like, oh, it's done the thing again. Lovely. My chair makes noises, but it's like I don't want to sit still in my chair because like I don't. It's sitting that still is bad for you, right? But also my chair creaks, so I don't know if he was like hearing those and thinking like, is that typing? Then again, I don't know what kind of keyboard it would be where the typing sounds like a chair creaking. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, I still haven't tried explicit 2T. Should I do that first? I'm going to do that first. So, gear down mode off. Freaking lagging. Ugh. And 2T on. You know what? There's no reason to have power down enabled, but I don't want to change that as well, just in case it messes with something. Yeah, I don't know how you get a non-creaky chair, like... Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well it looks as though 2T is going to boot, so... Shall we... Shall we save this as another profile? Set name, work in progress, 2T. And let's just see if that boots 4800. Crispy says, I believe they call those new chairs, Mick. Okay, first of all, fuck you. Secondly, it is a new chair. Like, not brand new, but like, within like the last year. I haven't had it for that long. It just... It's kind of always been like this. It's theoretically quite a good one as well, quite an expensive one. Yeah, I don't know how... I think... And Crispy says builds character. What builds character? Having a new chair? Oh, this isn't working, is it? Okay. A creaky chair builds character. Okay, good. Yeah, I was going to ask, like, so to be clear, I did shoot some test footage with OBS recording mode, and had a listen back, and it seemed like it was fine, but I guess I would be interested in a second opinion, but I don't know what I could do about it other than, like, I guess I could try and stand up more, or I might have other chairs I can swap for. But yeah, like it's tough because it's like I want the stream to be good, but like there's sometimes you've got to think about what you're chasing. Like if I'm forcing myself to like sit dead still, then I'm not going to stream for that long. Similarly, it's like the thing with, like, you know, the camera shakes a little bit just here, but it means you can actually have a camera angle that doesn't suck. And the alternative would be clamping it somewhere else and having a worse camera angle. White Shark says, I didn't notice it until you brought it up. And now you are noticing it. Whoops. Oh, I've made a tactical error there, haven't I? Whoopsie doodle. Okay, well, this is clearly not going to boot. So, clear the CMOS. That's why we save profiles. Yeah, there is also there's a bit more background noise today, but that legitimately shouldn't be picked up on the mic because it is actually a lapel mic, right? So it shouldn't be picking that much noise up. I don't know if I could like set a noise gate of some sort or something like that. The chair creaking is not that much quieter than me speaking. Well, anyway. I'm going to go refill my water bottle while that boots. And I'll be back in a moment. I'll leave you with the system. Alright then, the system is back up. Let's swap your scene back. So, that hasn't worked. So let's load that latest profile. Let's swap it back to gear down mode, which is what was working before. And then we're going to explicitly dial in. Denk Anksp says, yo, I got a question. Go ahead, man. And while he types that, I'll dial in the settings that I saved before. So our Proco DT was 53.3. RTT Norman WR were off. And then Park was RZQ over 5, which I believe is 48 ohms. I built my PC with two 3X Lian Li Unifans and Lian Li strimmer cables and everything works fine except the RGB on my Lian Li fans. Ooh, oh dear. I haven't personally used them, but I mean, generally the thing that I would check is like, do they actually need a separate connector? You know, are they plugged in where they need to be plugged in? But I haven't used them perfectly, so I haven't encountered any like issues to know how to solve them, I'm afraid. I would assume that they do have a separate connector for the RGB. Because yeah, I mean, a standard fan cable would not be able to carry the RGB signal. The Unifans all daisy chained together, so maybe that connection isn't complete, says Dave. Yeah, that's something else to worry about. Like, have they actually connected to each other properly? Depending on what the problem exactly is. But yeah, if they're just sort of not working at all, just make sure that what needs to be plugged in is the best thing I can suggest. I mean, especially like if the lights just aren't coming on, rather than it being an issue of you can't control them properly, if they're just not even lighting up, that would imply that the RGB is not plugged in, to me. Alright, so we've booted back up at 4733 now. If that will open up, yep. So now let's jump back into the BIOS. We've got our terminations plugged in. Alright, because I have two J Rainbow connectors on my motherboard, which I connected my streamer cables to, and my Lian Li Unifans. Yeah. Yeah, so it's an MSI board then, I think. Yeah. Fans only spin, no light. It might be worth double checking in the manual what voltage they are, what voltage the connectors are, and what voltage the fans are supposed to take. If the board is 5 volts and the fans need 12 volts, then I can see that might cause a problem, for example. So that's just something else to double check. If the voltages are matched up properly, then you could also just try swapping the connectors around. Like if the connector that the streamer cables are on is definitely working, you could try that with the fans. So that's another option. Yeah. Alright, so we've got our terminations dialed in, or at least they're at the setting that works with base clock. So let's see if we can boot DDR4-4800. Fingers crossed. Alright, thanks a lot. Yeah, no problem, man. Good luck. Hopefully you can get it working. Hopefully it works out for you. So we're cycling through postcodes and we've stopped at 54 here. Okay. So it strikes me that this has not helped. And if this hasn't helped, then my inclination is to say, you know, screw it, right? Okay, I'm going to say it. Screw it. There, I've said it. Right. So that's not working. I'm going to say that we've found the limit for these. So clear the CMOS and take the stick out, and let's swap those for some different sticks, because I think that's as far as they go. Is that my other Micron set? That's my other Micron set. Alright, so the next set of sticks that I have, Hudson says, I'm late, what chips on that last stick? So let me pull up the last stick. They're version 3.41, so it should be. It's Micron 16 gigabit B. And that's based on the date as well, and like the visual, like the look of the chips. You can see they're very, very big chips. They're chunky boys. So that's Micron 16 gigabit B under there. But it's only a 3000C16 bin, so they suck. Well, I say they suck. I mean, maybe it's churlish to be getting, 4733 and say it sucks, but it's not good enough. And so this is what I'm trying next. So this is 8 gigabit E, but it's a 3600 CL 18 bin, so it should be a little bit better. I say it's 8 gigabit E. I mean, you can never quite tell with Corsair and these markings. I know it's the same package size. It's a nice skinny package, as opposed to a nice chunky package. But yes, we'll see. The PCB on these is the same. They're both an A3 PCB, whereas my B die that I've got from Corsair is on an A2 PCB. My Corsair B die that I have, I should clarify, they haven't given me these. I bought them. But yeah, the B die's on an A2 PCB, so that should be a bit better. Hudson says Corsair's labelling with Micron annoys me as a 16 gigabit Micron E owner. Oh dear. Yeah, I've heard that IC's not great. And yeah, you'd look at it and it would be 3.4 something, and it wouldn't surprise me if it comes under 3.41 as well. Yeah, I don't know why it's like that. It seems to correspond maybe to JDEC bins, but I'm not even sure about that. It's a bit weird on DDR3 as well, but like, I think part of it is just that Micron have this habit where they put out these ridiculous revisions, like, a couple of the really interesting DDR3 Micron chips are 2 gigabit revisions K and M. So if you're Corsair and you're looking at that, it's just like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? I can only assume that that's why it's so all over the place. Okay, well, let's pop those off to the side. Make sure I've got that one to hand. That's the other stick from the kit. Okay, so this is a completely fresh stick. Sean says, okay, I'm here, work held me up. Yeah, no worries. What you've missed is 16 gigabit Micron B in a 3000C16 bin not being any good. And that's because it's Corsair, and Corsair do very aggressive sorting and binning, so if you get something that's binned for 3000C16, it's not going to be very good. So we've got now a 3600C18 Micron E stick, and I'm just going to start out with memory try it. So yeah, let's be optimistic here. Let's jump up here to 4400. Well, that's a 00. Lovely. Come on. Off stream, I was playing about with different voltages and termination settings for the B, and it wasn't making a difference. Which is consistent with what I've heard about Micron B, that it's not as bothered. But I know that Micron E does care. And given that the memory try-it profile that just jumps to 1.5 volts hasn't worked, so I'm just clearing CMOS now, I think what I might have to do is I might have to just dial it in manually. 4400 should be pretty easy, really. But, you know, should be and is not always the same thing. So yeah, I'll try loading up the profile that the Micron B was running. That's probably going to work fine, because the main thing that profile has set is just like really, really loose timings. There's an outside possibility it might not like the really loose timings. So that's something to consider as a possibility if the profile doesn't just boot. But I would have thought it should just boot. I mean, this is a higher bin stick. It's similar Micron. Yeah. While this decides if it's going to boot. So a word on memory slots, right? I've been using the outer slot here. Now, I tested on my B die, and it made absolutely no difference. Sorry, that's completely wrong. I tested on the 16 gigabit Micron B, and it made absolutely no difference. On Samsung B die, the outer slot was noticeably stronger. So I'm just taking it as being that the outer slot is better, and this is not booting up. Okay. So it might need different voltage settings then. But yeah, when I was playing around with different voltages for the 16 gigabit B, it basically it rolled over at like 1.6, and there wasn't anything that made it behave any better as far as what it could boot. Okay, so we're booting up again after that CMOS clear. This is the way it goes. Lots of CMOS clears, lots of, you know. So what I need to find out is, did it not like my really loose timings, or did it not like the clock with the voltages that I'm giving it? And the way to find that out is I'm going to load the same profile up. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop the clock. You know what, let's just drop the clock right down to 3600, because there's no way that it can't do 3600. But yeah, 1.3 volts is a bit low. With the B, it wasn't making a difference, but with the E, I'm expecting it might need something like... it normally needs reduced VTT, so it might need, say, 0.6 to 0.7 volts VTT, and then maybe 1.5 to 1.6 volts memory voltage to do higher clocks. At a guess. It's one of those things where it's kind of like, I haven't written numbers down, so it's more like an emotional, like, this is what feels right. Sean says my 16 gigabit Revi just won't go lower than 3800 C16. Went up to 1.55 volts. Still just didn't want to train. Yeah, that's oof. That is an oof. Or as the French say, an œuf. It's an egg, an œuf. Okay, looks like we're booting up now. So that's a good sign, it likes the timings. So we'll let that get into Windows, and then we'll reboot, and I guess I'll set some voltages. Excuse me, sorry, I am yawning a bit. It is 10:15 in the evening now, and normally I would be going to bed within the next hour or so, but I did have a nap today because it was too bloody hot. So we'll see, basically. Right, well that's booted up. Let me just double check that it's booted up at the loose timings. It's always nice to be sure. Come on. Yep, there we are. There's our lovely loose timings there. Okay. Yeah, I don't understand what it is with Micron, like randomly making memory that's like really awful in between memory that's really good. Although to be fair, I mean, look at CDI, right? Oh, it's doing the thing again. Matt says, no nap for me, so heading to bed soon. Yep, fair enough. I know I'm streaming pretty late UK time, I don't blame you. I suspect nothing earth-shattering is going to happen. I mean, the one you really want to catch is BuildZoid's stream tomorrow. Oh, that's new. But yeah, BuildZoid is going to stream, hopefully he's going to stream tomorrow, assuming he's up for it. And he's going to be trying to beat my score and win that motherboard off me. So that's the one you really want to catch. This is just going to be me struggling with RAM for like however long it takes. Okay, so let's set our sights a little lower. Just for now, let's say 4400. And what's a reasonable thing? Let's say 0.6 VTT and 1.5 memory voltage. That ought to work. Dave said, I don't have class till 12:30 tomorrow morning. That means I can stay up way later and finish binning those E7500s. Yeah, good luck. Hopefully it doesn't make your room too roasting. But yeah, I'm sure you'll be glad to have that done. He also says, I've got a better capture card with pass-through arriving tomorrow, so maybe I can start streaming. Sweet. Yeah, that'd be great. Right, postcode 22 again. This is becoming a theme. Right. I mean, to be fair, those were fairly aggressive voltage settings. I'll give it one reset, even though I know it's not going to work. Okay. Yeah, this is concerning, because, like, I sort of thought, oh, well, I've got Micron, so, like, I can just magically beat any Samsung clock, and I really can't, you know? This is awful. This is not going well at all. But I do have base clock, and that did seem to worry BuildZoid. But then he was worried by my dual rank sticks last time, and the dual rank sticks were a wash. So, who knows? I've been really tempted to buy a 4800 or like a 4600 kit. The problem with those is that the amount that I would be paying for it is about what the motherboard is worth. So, if I like buy a really expensive memory kit to save the board, then I've not actually saved myself any money. Like I've not gained by doing that. Hudson says, I'm still confused how the top, or at least previously top frequency was on CJR on Corsair RGB PCB. Yeah, that's pretty wild. I have heard rumours in the past of CJR hitting high clocks, but not like that high. There was something about, like, I don't know if it's like CJR from like a different factory or different batches, but according to Tim, G-Skill, obviously they've got their codes on the labels, So you have CJR that's like ending in 20C or ending in like 22C or whatever, but apparently there's some that where the code ends in 25C, and apparently that is like really good CJR. So I don't know. Like, maybe Corsair have also like picked up some of this really good CJR, and it does happen. I know I was saying, you know, what did I expect with a 3000 C16 bin, but it's not unheard of for Corsair to put good stuff in low bins. I mean, I've got some pretty strong Corsair PSC that's in really low bins. Where is that? Can I wave some of it at the camera? It's behind. Oh, hold on. Okay, I think everything's okay. Yeah, so like, it's a funny thing, but this is actually pretty strong PSC. Not like great PSC, but this is pretty strong, right? You can see the date code there, 1010, so that's week 10, 2010, so it's quite early. Early PSC tends to be better. And that's like a really shit bin, 1600 CL9. That's like your kind of 3200 CL16 equivalent, really. Anyway. Where was I? Hello, Deeper. Dave says, is it maybe just Corsair mislabeling their sticks? They put CDI in version 4.31. I mean, it's not impossible, but I've not heard of them mislabeling Hynix before. I'm not convinced. I can believe that there is magic like high clocking CJR. Like, it's not like it has to be stable, right? It just has to clock. It doesn't have to like work properly. Anyway. So let's load up that Micron B profile once more. Let's... I know the timings work, so let's drop our clock down. So previously I tried 0.6 volts. That might have been a bit low. So let's try 0.7 with 1.5 for 4400. And frankly, if this doesn't work, we're not having a good time. That's looking much more promising. Oh, I've got a grin now. This is better, this is better. Okay. The postcode's still going. It's not got... Oh, for... Well, piss. It had me going. It really had me going. I honestly thought that was going to boot. It really was looking like it was going to boot, and... God damn it. Crispy says, you were too happy, jinxed it. Yeah, it's entire... And I've got all this wood here. All of this wood, and I failed to touch it as well. Hudson says it was flipping to the initial 1415, 1415 too quick. Yeah, maybe. I've not spent necessarily that long looking at AM4 postcodes. I'm just kind of yeah. Well, piss flaps. Right. Deeper says, off topic, the OCZ SLI are great. I was a bit limited by them because I was forced to use 1-to-1 ratio on my last run. So that's the 1066 CL5 DDR2 that I sent you, yeah? How high FSB are you running to be limited by the memory at 1-to-1? Good God. Because I saw the screenshots you were posting. It was like, oh really? They were struggling. Oh, CL4. Okay, right. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, just do CL5. But yeah, I mean, I guess with SuperPi, it's a little bit, you know, you really don't want to loosen. I'm honestly, I'm surprised that they were doing. I mean, they were binned obviously for 500 CL4. So the fact that they're doing like 557 CL4 is impressive. Even if that's like 4.5 rather than 4.4. Okay, right. I am going to keep bashing my head against this. I am going to keep trying to boot 4400 with different voltage combinations. So I tried 1.5, 0.7 before, so let's try 1.6, 0.7. Why not? Deeper says, yeah, but SuperPi gave me like 0.02 seconds more. CL4 gave you 0.02 seconds more in SuperPi, so CL4 it is. I mean, yeah, but like, surely a little bit of CPU clock can make up for that. That's 20 again. Okay. I'm going to stick the other module in straight away without clearing CMOS. Sean says, is it like Revi that needs VTT DR adjustments? Yeah, this is the one that needs it. Yeah, it's Micron E. So I've been trying that and it's not been helping. And 4400 is not that aggressive for this kind of stuff. Alright, so that's the other stick, and I'm just going to see if the other stick boots at the same set. No, of course it wouldn't. Why would anything ever work well, right? Okay. Clear CMOS. Deeper says, pretty much on the edge for ambient, 560 is instant crash. SuperPi stops working at 558. Oh, fair enough, okay. So, the thing with these sticks is they're on what looks like a really basic, like, it's an A3 PCB, so you can see there's actually quite a large gap between the chips on there. Can I reach some of my other stuff? Oh, always difficult. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, ballistics elite. Yeah, there we are. Okay. I might be about to make a bit of a fool of myself here. Let me just double check. But, yeah. So what I've got here is I've got ballistics elite underneath. And am I going to be able to get enough light on that at all? You can kind of tell, right? You can see that. So these are the same Micron E chips, but the ballistics elite has them all a bit close together, because the elites down here are on A2 rather than A3. So A2 is really a PCB that's properly optimized for speed, right? A3 is like, oh shit, we need to fit bigger chips on this. as a result, the A2, well, it's not PCB, it's a layout, technically. I mean, if you want to say what PCB this is, then there is actually a marking up in the shoulder. I don't know, I'm probably not going to be able to make that legible on camera, but there's a little marking on the shoulder that says B84 A3. So that's the PCB that it is. So it's a brain power PCB actually on this. Of course, they use a lot of different people for their PCBs. I think they do their own design, because some of their designs, you see them from a lot of different manufacturers. Anyway. So let's give this another go. And this time, we're going to try 1.6, 0.7 again, just to start out with. And I don't know where we'll go from there, but I'm not going to say anything. It was reaching 14, 15 quite quickly. Is that a yeah? Okay. Right. But yeah, Crucial, like looking at the sticks closely, it's kind of interesting. So I thought that Crucial were using the A3 PCB. They are not. What Crucial have done is something completely different. They seem to still be using the A2 layout, even for their really big chips. But what they've done is they've moved the passives that used to go in between the chips onto the back. And that means that they still have space for the big chips. Oh, I need to clear CMOS. They still have space for the big chips without deviating from the A2 layout. And as far as I can tell, the A2 layout is just better. The A3 layout sucks. It's that simple. It is worse. They've moved the chips around for no reason other than to, you know, fit bigger chips. Which is a pretty good reason, but like, it's no good for overclocking. So what was that? That was 1.6, 0.7. Let's try 1.5, 0.6. And if that doesn't work, we're switching to B-die. I've been going for 1 hour 20 nearly, and all that has worked so far is base clocking up in OS. Really? So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and do that with the B-die. Assuming this doesn't work. What am I doing? Profile. Let's do 1.5, 1.6. Alice says, do they also use a creative spin on B1 for dual rank 16 gigabit Rev B, or is that B2? That's a good question. Yeah, because if you're using B1, if it's dual rank, then you can't just put the passives on the back. I have no idea what they're doing for that. I guess it must be something approximating B2, because I don't know how else you'd do it other than like just not having any passives, or just like moving them like above the ICs. but that feels like it would have downsides. Sean asks, what CPU are you using? This is a 5600G. This is AMD's Cezanne. It's the APU. It's not bad. I have been pretty happy with it so far, and that's part of why I'm sort of blaming the RAM here. I'm almost tempted to do the thing that I did last time I had a stream that was going badly, which was I swapped to some non-Corsair memory for a little bit. Almost tempted to do that. I don't think I will. I'm going to put my B die back in, because that will actually work. Okay, so switch to camera only. I'm going to have to dig around in a tray. You know what, I'm taking my mic off. One sec. I'll be with you in a moment. Okay, so as part of the testing that I did off stream, I did test both B-die sticks, and gratifyingly it seems that the one that I've scribbled XMS4 on is actually the faster of the two. It does clock a little bit better, and it clocks best in this outer slot, so we know that already. It's just a question of what we can get out of it now. White Shark said at least 5600G you can buy just as a CPU. Yeah, I mean, the 5600G is a great value graphics card as well, right? But yeah, it's nice to be able to buy it. So, funny story, the streaming system here is actually... It's based on the system that Buildzoid had to buy to get his 4750G. So the deal that I made with him was originally I was going to buy it, but then like we worked out a trade instead. But it was that he would do some art on the case, and then I would make it a system that I used. So yes, it is the Trash Pewter. It's got a different processor, a different motherboard, different memory, different everything, except the case and the power supply are the same as well. So the stream system is on like a not very good like Icano power supply. I'm sure it'll be fine. At least it's not Gigabyte, right? Hey, cheap shots. Sean says, yeah, I want a 5300G just to mess around with for RAM OC. Yeah, I mean, they're fun chips, right? Like, for all of this, like, faffing about not being able to do, you know, 4400, the fact is, when you actually load up, like, some good RAM, yeah, let's roll with this. Let's boot up. See how the B-die likes the Micron profile, since I wasn't doing anything fancy, just loosening everything. That's looking happier. What the hell is 4F? Hudson says, have you noticed anything finicky with Proc ODT preference on Cezanne? Not sure how much is in my head and how much is actually different from desktop Zen. When I was doing the IDA 64 on dual rank B-die, Proc ODT needed to be 40 or 43.6 ohms, and nothing else worked for the really high clocks that I was hitting. To my understanding, that's not that different to like desktops then. I think it's probably more dependent on the motherboard. 4F can be F. Why would the F... What was I saying? Yeah, motherboard and memory sticks might make a bit more of a difference, honestly. Okay, 60. Right. Okay. Well, whatever. It was a low voltage, right? I wasn't really expecting it to work. 09. Clear CMOS. Hudson says 43.6 is why I stick everything just for simplicity's sake. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I tend, like, unless I'm trying to get really fancy, I tend to leave that kind of stuff on auto, because my experience has generally been that motherboards are quite good at setting it up. I haven't yet encountered a situation, like, to be fair, I wasn't playing with it, like, on the really early BIOS versions. But I haven't yet encountered a situation where I know better than the motherboard does, and I've looked. I was playing with a lot of these settings for the IDA64 run, and I didn't actually manage to do any better by setting any of the terminations manually. That was me draining another water bottle there that made that noise. Sorry about that. Right, F1 to run setup. Let's go, let's go. So, rather than loading a profile that works with Micron, let's load the profile that works with B-Die. So, this is what I was using for my IDA64 run. Now, F-clock, as far as I'm aware, I can just drop that way down, that should be fine. Let's just leave those where they are, that's probably okay. Really high memory voltage, that's good, let's go with that, let's roll with that. Right, what about timings? Timings are tightened right up here, that's no good. We want to loosen those out a bit. But I don't know, like, if it's going to get weird if I loosen them like way fast, so I'm going to loosen them plenty. Let's go with that. You know what, let's just auto all of these. Try gear down mode. Yeah, that should be able to boot up 4800 quite happily. Matt's off to bed. Matt says, hope you get to keep your board, Mick. Thanks, and yeah, sleep well. Hudson says, Proco DT is the only one that was being set wonky sometimes. Auto would often try 60 on Unify-X with my Micron. Ah, okay. So that's something I might need to look into then. If there's a possibility that a lower Proco DT would actually behave better, because I know with the B it was setting 53.3, I think. So maybe I do actually need to look at that. Damn, okay. I might have to revisit the Micron. Well, that's irritating. Sean said, I had some very bad stability issues when it came to trying to adjust anything related to Proco DT or any of the other resistances, anything other than auto, and it locked up. Yeah, that's normally been my experience, but I haven't tried messing around with the Micron, so maybe it's different. Maybe this 16 gigabit B does actually have headroom. Alright. From my off-stream testing, the B die should do 5200. So, got my timings loosened out appropriately, I think. Let's just let's clock up. Let's clock this up. So far I've been clocking it up royally, so I'll be continuing that. And sure enough, F9. Well, maybe it will retry through it. Hudson, anything between 40 and 48 was fine for me all around. Yeah. I think 48 sort of worked, but wasn't as good. When I tried it, I don't remember exactly. I think this might be about to recover. Damn. I might have to loosen something out that I haven't loosened out yet. So, I suspect this has gone through recovery. At this point, it looks like it's about to post, so let's get ourselves into BIOS. Yeah, that's gone through recovery. Oh, alright, alright. I have 2T and gear down mode set. That might not be ideal. Let's try 2T with gear down mode off. Cribble says, not that into memory overclocking, but is the X99 platform better than X299? No, it's not. It sucks. So the situation is, this is AM4, right? This is a B550 Unify-X right here, that is currently refusing to post again. However, BuildZoid has on his wish list a Fatality X99M Killer 3.1, and I have a Fatality X99M Killer 3.1. And I said to BuildZoid, when he was complaining that he only had Samsung for the Corsair competition that's going on hardware, but I said, well, if you get a higher memory clock with your Samsung than I can get with the memory that I've got, which includes Micron, I will give you the Fatality X99M Killer 3.1. And since making that bet, I've actually tested the Micron that I have, and it's shit. Well, I'm overstating that a little bit, but it's not as good as I had hoped and expected it would be when it comes to overclocking. And so I'm in danger of losing that board in a bet. That is why I am... Oh, that's booted. Okay. So that is why I'm trying to save it. But no, X99 for memory overclocking is awful. The Fatality is a 1 DIMM per channel board that actually has a proper VRM, and the slash 3.1 version has an OC socket as well. So, like, as it goes, it should be like a good board for memory overclocking given the platform, but yeah, it's not a great platform. for memory OC. X299 is definitely better. Although they're both a little bit weird. Like, X99 kind of walls around 3200 or so. What? Oh, don't do this to me. Come on. But yeah, X299 tends to wall around 4000, but like it can run dual rank at speeds kind of close to where it walls, which is kind of interesting. Cribby says you're up to one of the best in the biz. Yeah, yeah. I'm good friends with Buildzoid. I modded his Twitch for a long while. I still do. Let's try gear down mode rather than 2T. I swear 5200 worked earlier, but I don't remember what exactly I was doing, and I don't think I had the sense to save a profile, which was a mistake. Kubi says, did some memory OCing on my Z97 with G3258. Oh, that's fun. I like that platform. Oh, you know what it'll be? It'll need like to train into it. I should probably boot at a lower clock. Yeah, I'll do that in a minute. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Z97. Very fan for DDR3. Lots of settings available. Yeah, I like to use this board. It's a Z97i Plus from Asus. It's not the best board. It's got an annoyingly low voltage limit on the memory. But it's pretty good. But yeah, I have binned like hundreds of PSC sticks at this point. I might actually do like a PSC binning stream at some point, just to kind of show the process, I guess. Although, I don't know, I don't think I have any that's waiting to be binned right... Well, yeah, no. I've got some BBSE sticks to test. But yeah, the G3258 is a really fun chip, because it's actually... It's not just that it's fully unlocked, it's... like, the memory controller's good. So it's... Yeah, it's very fun. Come on, come on, get me into BIOS, get me into BIOS. Alright, that's better. You know what? What I need is I need a validation, and I've got in OS base clock. So, if I just boot up at 5100 and base clock up, that's fine. Let's stop messing around trying to boot 5200, trying to figure out why it's not booting 5200. I don't care, I don't have to care. Why is this stuck on B2? Come on. Actually, stuck on B2 is okay. It gets past that. Alright, so, as I've explained at the start of the stream, I did save a 5200 screenshot off stream. So, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to clock up to past 5200, and then I'm going to start saving screenshots. Alright. Let me see if I can, like, organise my CPU Zs in a way where you can see all of them, like, and I don't have to put any of them under where the camera's going to be. Mainboard there, SPD there, memory there, CPU. Alright, and now let's fire up a funny looking Ryzen master. Okay. We'll jump to 100.5 because that should work fine. Yep. Do I have the guts to jump to 101? Yeah, let's do it. Yes, okay. 2575, save. And I'll just run the screenshot program. Once I start like really honing in on the edge. White Shark says, oh, the SPD is fixed. Yes, yeah, 1.97, the SPD detection works fine on the Unify-X. So yes, good news on that front. With the latest version, I don't have to be mucking around with a weird like beta version or anything like that. It just works, which is great. 101.25. Yep, 2581. $25.87. You know what? Let's I'm just realising I'm not actually at 5200 yet. So let's jump up to 102. There we go. There's our 5200. Beautiful. And I think that's a title update. There we go. Okay, uncharted waters now. So let's be a little bit more cautious. Come on. So it's 2606. Validated. 102.5 let's go for. Come on. Yep, there we are, 2613. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to touch any of the really impressive clocks that people are getting, at least not with this setup, which is unfortunate. I was really kind of hoping that like I'd be able to get better results out of the Micron. I might have to revisit that, but I'm not going to revisit it tonight. That's near as damn it, that's 2620. Kribby says, don't know if it's true, but with Extremo saying people disable core on a CPU to hit higher clocks. Yep. Oh shit, that's a good point. You're right. Why am I running 6 cores, 12 threads? I honestly thought I had. I thought I had it disabled, but of course I don't. Because I loaded up an IDA 64 profile, and I was doing IDA 64 with all the cores enabled. But when I was hitting 5200 boot in pre-testing, I had it disabled down to 2 cores and SMT off. So, yeah, good shout. I'm right. I'm going to keep going, but then when this inevitably crashes, which it will in the end, and kicks me back to BIOS, yeah, I'll have to set a lower clock as well so that it stops bouncing around. But yeah, I'll have to look at that. That's 2626, which is 5252. That's the title update, I think. Glenn will need to wait up a bit later now. Yeah, hopefully not too late. As much as I had a nap earlier, I don't want to be up like horrifically late. You know what? I'm going to skip saving a couple of these. Let's just go. $104. Bang. $26.51. Right, and that's 5300. Title update. Done. Good. 104.25. Yep. 104.5. Yeah, because I'm not too bothered now if I crash, because of course I have to go and disable cores. 104.75. Yeah, that's applied. 105. Let's go. There we are. 2677. Alright, so that's, what would that be? That's 5350. Title update. So it was just over 106 that base clock crashed on the Micron earlier. So I wonder if we might see a similar effect here. So I'll clock it up to 106. And I'll save the score there, and then we'll see if it just crashes at 106. Because it was crashing in the same place with both Micron sticks, which makes me think it's a base clock limit. Hey, 2702. This is great. This is like 5400. And that's the validation file saved. Cribby says, does the memory degrade over time with this kind of OSing? So it depends on the memory, or memory controller. I don't think so. I am using quite a high SoC voltage. It would not be safe for like day-to-day running, but I mean we're at 38 degrees temperature right now. That's going to help with it surviving long term. And this is only for fairly short, fairly limited periods. Obviously, like, I'm running very high memory voltage. I would not recommend doing this kind of thing for like day-to-day use. This is to see like how far you can push it, but it's not, you know, it's like drag racing, right? Like you would not, you wouldn't take a drag car to the shops. Let's just do the tiniest little step now. Okay, that's 2705. Let's screenshot that and validate that. God, if it just like keeps going with base clock, how funny would that be? I just end up at like 110 base clock and it's like, what's happening? Why is it still working? 2706 there. Oh, 2709 rather, sorry. Daily just using auto OC and auto boost functions, most people are happy. Yeah, basically. It's kind of funny, like I'm doing all of this performance chasing, but my actual daily system is rubbish. It's not really, I mean, especially being summer, it's actually underclocked, just to reduce heat output. There we are. Just going to make sure it caught that 2712 there. Man, I wish I could run XMP on daily without setting timing. Oh, that's Alice. I see. Oh, it's crashed. There we are. Right. Could have saved me a weekend and a few evenings. Yeah, so you've got that dual rank 3600 good RAM stuff, right? And that's on, was it 2nd gen Ryzen? Something like that? So, yeah. Alright, well that's crashed. Let's take it back into BIOS, and as I was reminded to do, disable some cores. Yeah, good RAM on 2600X. Hold on, name. Work in progress, B-die. There we go. Not system status, what am I doing? Actually I should double check that, yeah, that's where it's supposed to be. Right, AMD overclocking, it's under manual CPU overclocking, CPU core count control, 2 cores, SMT off. What else? CPU ratio, 8. No, 8. Why is it that when I enter 8 and I hit enter, it goes to 80, right? That seems like a problem. Like, is it just like adding a 00 behind? Like, no, I don't get it. That's weird. It shouldn't be doing that. Oh yeah, I was talking about disabling spread spectrum. Well, that might make it worse. Let's not change too many things at once. F clock, that's already been dropped down a bit. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing, is just I'm dropping down the CPU core count, and yeah, let's try booting 5200. It's a Pentium now, yeah. Alice said 2600X, yeah. You've got 33, 33, 16, 18, 16 after it. That's not too bad. Okay, this is still F9ing. Humph, I say. I see no problem. It's clearly demanding LN2. The problem is the Corsair competition is ambient, so I can't just like throw LN2 at it. Much as I would like to. Well, yeah. I think my LN2 supply is really busy at the moment. Oh, you got 1T no gear down mode on dual rank. Nice. Yeah, that's always good. Yeah, the way that COVID is hitting in the UK at the moment is it's making a lot of things a bit difficult, and I think the LN2 supplier has been pretty stretched. So it'll probably be. I don't know about dry ice. Like, I don't know how much, whether they're fine like still supplying dry ice for like just people fucking around. Because obviously for the Pfizer vaccines they need dry ice for cold chain transport. Phase change like Intel did on the demo way back. I have one of those. I have a phase, but I'm not going to cheat in a comp. Sorry, I said that in a really weird way. I said I'm not going to cheat in a comp, as if I'm going to cheat in like regular rankings. Like, I'm not going to cheat, and the rules for the comp say that a phase change is cheating. I will use a phase change in regular rankings because it's not cheating there. Okay. So I'm just trying to think of like what I might have done differently that made 5200 behave itself. And it's like, I've got some of these random voltages set. Oh! This might be why I could get my base clock slightly higher. Let's just... not 1 point anything. Let's just nudge those up. Maybe that needs to be a little lower. 0.845? I can't remember what the difference was. Let's go with this. This is probably fine. Yeah, because we're just trying to like actually get it to post right now. Alice asked, is the UK running the AstraZeneca then Pfizer combo like Germany did for a while? Not as far as I know, no. So I've had 2 shots of Pfizer. My partner's actually had 2 shots of AstraZeneca. As far as I'm aware, nobody is getting like one of each. I don't know what they're planning to do with booster shots. Like, the Pfizer shots just seem to be better in general, so I'd sort of hope that they just like maybe give people a mixture when it comes to boosters or something like that, but we'll see. Back to 5100. Yeah, I think it's going to be a case of booting 5100 and just hoping that pushing the chipset voltages helps with base clock, isn't it, really? Ah, darn. Also, I'm going to double check that I've got the chipset link set to Gen 1. I think I do, but there's no harm in checking. Sean asks, why can they not just all use one or the same ones everywhere? So the reason that they use a lot of different vaccines is just availability. You know, they need all the vaccines that they can get, so they're using different sources just to get more of them. The reason to actually mix them is that they work in slightly different ways. So it's like maybe one person might respond a bit better to one than the other. Like, it makes sense in theory, but I don't think it's not something that's really been tested, other than like it should work. So I think there's maybe different attitudes towards doing something that's sort of like fully expected to work but hasn't been. Oh shit! I just realised I'm not running MaxMem. How the fuck was this running fine without MaxMem? It was at 1.8 volts in the OS. What the okay. Well, that's a thing. Apparently, I was just casually chilling in the OS at 1.8 volts without maximum. Who knew? That's neat, I guess. I should probably set maximum. Okay, so it definitely doesn't like the fiddling that I've done because it's now not booting 5100. Charming. Yeah, it's weird. FDA passed Moderna here for complete usage. Other countries don't have access to it. Yeah, I think we've only recently picked up the Moderna one. National factors play a role. UK has a stake in AstraZeneca. Yeah, I know it. The AstraZeneca vaccine is shit. You know, it's better than no vaccine, but it's shit. This is off topic, but yeah, like I'm glad that I got the Pfizer one. But yeah, like, you know, if I wanted a vaccine that was going to make me feel like shit, then I'd take Sputnik instead, and then at least I'd actually have like proper protection. I don't know. Yeah, anecdotally, like, the effect of the Pfizer one for me is I kind of felt a little bit out of it, like a little bit woozy, a little bit like I was drunk. And that was for, I think the first time it was a bit longer, or it felt like it was a bit longer. It was for about a day, basically. Sean says all you did was adjust cores, right? No, I also, when it didn't boot after just adjusting the cores, when it didn't boot higher, I messed with some other stuff. So I actually dropped memory voltage. AstraZeneca's not used in the Netherlands, they nuked all of them. Yeah, it's... the British attitude to the AstraZeneca vaccine has been... the British state attitude, I should say, has been, well, it's... the risks of having an AstraZeneca vaccine are, like, way, way lower than the risks of having COVID, which is true, obviously, but it's kind of like, yeah, but could I not just, like, could I have neither? Could I have, like, a Pfizer vaccine instead? And then, yeah. But yeah, so they've been really, like, downplaying the risks, and it's like, they're not lying. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's true that the risks are a lot lower than the risks of COVID, and yeah, if you're... Alice says I was pretty much bound to my couch for 2 days after the second Pfizer dose with fever. Oh, no, that's nasty. It wasn't anything like that bad for me. I just... it was alright. Cribby said they should have given them to a country that needed vaccine. Yeah, it's a bit fucked up that they just, like, destroy, like, 200,000 doses. But okay. So these settings were booting, and I'm going to nudge up my chipset voltages in the hopes that that helps with base clock. And once I get into the OS, I'm setting maximum. And that's where I am. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's an abundance of caution, which is, I mean, it's cool and all, but, like, The thing with like the abundance of caution is you're not going to convince people who are anti-vaccine just by like being extremely responsible and cautious. But then, I mean, it's still good to be extremely responsible and cautious. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to, as much as I sort of already have, I don't want to get into like the policy decisions, and you know, I've got some very strong opinions about some of the policy decisions. But right now, I'm supposed to be having strong opinions about Samsung B-Die. Which I don't know why it's not posting now. That should have posted, that should have been fine. Okay. Well, while that decides what it's doing, I'm going to go and grab a refill of my drink. So, back in a moment. Right, Sean says maybe go back to the previous saved and just drop calls. Yeah, yeah. Right. Let me just double check it hasn't booted up. I don't think it's booted up the settings, but you never know. Oh! Oh, son of a gun, look at that. Cribby says, I'm fully for free choice, but older people and people with health issues need to have a safe environment. Yeah, it's a complicated, difficult issue, and it's also a complicated, difficult issue where lives are at stake. And that's the kind of thing that there's a lot that you can say about it. And it's kind of debatable how much you're going to work out on an overclocking live stream. Yeah. It does. It irks me a little bit that it's kind of it's presented as this kind of dichotomy a lot of the time. Like, there are people who will sort of say, "Oh well, you know, either you have more restrictions and less COVID, or you have less restrictions and more COVID," and that's not quite true. And there are people who sort of say, well, you know, you can kind of like either you vaccinate your way out of the pandemic, or you're stuck in that dichotomy of the restrictions, and that's also not true. And yeah, unfortunately, it's one of those things where it's applying to like this entire population, and when you if you look at, that's a fucking opportune time for a cough, isn't it? When you look at these statistics, like, oh, it's 90% effective. Well, that's great. But 90% effective across a population of millions? That's not so great. Like, as an individual thing, yeah, it's great. Should people get vaccinated? Yeah. Can you rely on vaccines to just prevent people from dying of COVID? No. Is this probably too heavy for an overclocking live stream? Yes. Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to try and shut the fuck up about this, because honestly, I should. It's... yeah. Can I just drop the CPU core down in OS with this? Is that going to work? No. Interesting. Well, whatever. Okay, let's jump ahead in base clock as we're here. Yep. There we go. So the CPU is no longer 800. Yeah, so the CPU, it seems to be just at auto settings right now. And apparently I can't set that in OS. Maybe if I had actual Ryzen Master. I think I might have it installed, but I don't want to mess around with it. It's annoying. What we can do is we can jump up. There we are, 5400 right there. Lovely. 0.3 volt V-core lol. Yeah, I mean, that's probably true some of the time. These chips can run very low V-core, although probably not like to that extreme. You know what? Let me just check what... hold on, it's going to be in... Here we are. What was the best that I've got saved? 2712.8. Oh. Okay, well, that's not any better. Heck. You know, I think we might be not far off done at this rate. Yeah, builds I found out Ryzen Master works. Yeah. Oh, and I'm a bit late, but sleep well, Cribby. I guess the only other thing that I have to say about vaccines is I wish I'd had the presence of mind to take, like, salt and a lemon in when I was getting my second Pfizer shot. Because for me it was so much like, you know, like just having a bit of alcohol, like being a bit drunk. It would have seemed appropriate. Right, so... we're going to try dropping our CPU core, and we're going to... where are we? Advanced. AMD overclocking, CPU, core cut control. Let's just see if that helps. But I'm starting to... oh, shit, right, I was going to set max mem. Oh, why is it 22ing on me now? Come on. F9, that's more like it. So last time it did eventually boot from F9 with these settings. So let's just leave it and hope it does that. Goodness me, I'm yawning all over the place. If it boots with these settings, I will maybe too low CPU speed. That would be interesting if that's the problem, because that might affect my Micron testing as well. If it boots up and it's just like, it's just changed the CPU to auto, but it boots the memory settings, that'd be funny. I don't know. I noticed problems with Infinity Fabric being too low, but not with the CPU. Like if Infinity Fabric is less than half the like physical memory clock, or like a quarter of like the memory transfer rate, that is something it doesn't like. So that's an interesting problem that I've encountered. Well, it's getting close to booting now. If this has booted at JDEC, I think I'm going to call it, because I'm not sure what else I can do other than switch back to the Micron and play with Proc ODT, which is going to be another like hour of testing. If it boots up and it's actually booted the full memory speed, can you have high Infinity Fabric and low memory clock? Good question. I haven't tested the extremes of that. I don't know. That might be interesting to see. Oh! Oh! Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, the profiles are still there. Okay, good. However, that has cleared the CMOS. Alright, well, just before I call it then, shall we find out the answer to your question? So, let's set the lowest memory clock that I can, which is 1600. And we'll make sure that that boots. And then, I guess, see... this CPU is good for about 2400 Infinity Fabric. Yeah, it's 11:30, get some rest. Yeah, I did have a nap earlier. So I'm doing okay, but it is still getting a little bit late. The reason that I'm streaming sort of late in the evening is BuildZoid is going to be taking a crack at this tomorrow, and I didn't want to stream like in the daytime tomorrow particularly, partially because nobody would be around and partially because it would be a bit warmer. So I thought I'll get it done now, and then BuildZoid can take his attempt tomorrow and see if he can get better than my 5400. And then I might have another go, but we'll see. So, in the unlikely event that there's someone here who doesn't follow BuildZoid on Twitch, head over to twitch.tv/BuildZoid, and so that's build as in construct, not Bill Zoid. He's not Mr. William Zoid. And he's probably going to be streaming pretty soon, trying to beat my score and win that motherboard off me. Anyway, yes, so low DRAM frequency, high F clock. So this CPU ought to be good to 2400 F clock at 1.3 SoC. That's something that I'm very comfortable saying I fully expect to work. Override 1.3. So that's as extreme of a difference as I think I can create artificially. I don't know why the camera like twisted a little bit there. I think it's got optical image stabilization stuff, and I think it just sometimes gets a little bit funky. Alright, we're booting up, so it looks like the answer to your question is yes. I'll double check with Zen timings once we're in OS. Yep, so mem clock 800, f clock 2400. So as far as is possible, the answer is yes. You can have high infinity fabric and low memory clock. Right. Well, I think. Oh, sorry, I forgot to actually show you that. There's your Zen timings. Yes. Anyway, so that's gone all right. We've got a little bit over DDR4-5400. Will it survive any workloads? I assume so. I don't know why it wouldn't. Like, you'd think if there was a problem with the clock relationship, it just wouldn't boot. So I would assume so. Yeah. Anyway, I do need to get going. I do need to head to bed soon. And yeah, we've managed a little bit over 5400. We've given BuildZoid something to aim for. And I think quite crucially, we have actually hit a higher clock than what BuildZoid managed in the last stage. So that's something. Because I had been a little bit worried about that, really. I was a little bit worried because BuildZoid was running... What was he running? He was running like 5200 in the last stage. Let me quickly look that up. But yeah, the B die that BuildZoid has was definitely clocking higher than mine was. And that's obviously a little bit of a concern because, you know, you're looking at that thinking, well, if I have to do megahertz next, then I'm maybe a little bit screwed. So yeah, he was... Okay, yeah, so he was at... a little bit over 5,000 for the IDA64 read stage, whereas my memory clock was what is that, 4880, a little bit over that, so a little under 4900. But yeah, I've managed to push it to, you know, more than 100 megahertz higher than BuildZoid. Or higher than BuildZoid was for the IDA64 read stage. So yeah, we'll see how high he manages to push it for just pure memory clock. And yeah, that's everything. The score will probably go up tomorrow morning, I think, rather than tonight, because I need to sort out system pictures and I'm tired, you know. And yeah, keep an eye out and it should be interesting. Yeah. Right, cheers for watching, folks, and I'll see you in BuildZoid's chat, I think. Bye.